Good morning, everyone. I hope you are well. Everyone's keeping well. Lovely to see everyone this bright, almost bright summer's morning. So today's learning is dedicated in memory of Leah Bas Faivel, Tzivia Bas Mordechai, Avram ben David Slavin, Shlomo ben Yisrael Morris, Eliezer ben Shmuel Teret, Eliezer Shalom ben Avram Shmuel Beret, Tzipora Fegela Bas Ruben Baruch, Shalom ben Eli Ali, Beina Bas Faivel, from Moshe Shoshana Bas Yaakov Shmuel, and Erika Bas Avram. We wish their respective families long life and only smachot. Today is Rosh Chodesh, meaning it's the beginning of the Jewish new month of Av. What is the month all about? So we know, and very briefly, that the inauguration, in fact, the month of Av has an unenviable title, and that it is called Menachem Av. Menachem means to comfort. In other words, that we are in the lead up to the mourning over all the tragedies that have befallen our nation over the course of the millennia. It's called Tisha B'Av. It's on the 9th of Av. That's what Tisha B'Av means. Tisha meaning 9. And it is the saddest day of the year. We mourn for all the pogroms and the Tachvatat and the Crusades and the Holocaust and all the other terrible things that happened to our people. And we also, of course, mourn primarily over the destructions of the two temples and all the sorrows that have resulted from that. But the point of mourning in Judaism, and I just want to make this point and then we can move on, is that it is something which is considered constructive. In other words, through realizing what we are missing, right? What is missing in the world, what is missing in our lives, what is missing for the Jewish people, the temple, the close presence of the Almighty, and we'll learn some of that today, then hopefully it makes us yearn more for the end of the exile and the rebuilding of the temple, and therefore we're going to do that a little bit more to make it a reality. So today's Mishnah, we are still on the 10s, right? We said 10 this, 10 that. So yesterday we spoke about the 10 tests. Today we speak about the 10 miracles. And it's very apropos that we should be discussing this on Rosh Chodesh Av. We just mentioned about the destruction of the temple. We're going to be discussing today about the 10 miracles that occurred in the temple. I'm going to not go through it in Hebrew because it is, I think, the longest of our Mishnayos, and therefore I don't want to spend all the time just going through the Hebrew. I'm going to go through the English. But a word before we start. So what do we think about when I say the word miracle to you, right? What does that conjure up in your mind, the word miracle? The Hebrew for it is nes, right? We have the word nes when we speak about the miracle of Hanukkah, right? And all the other nes when we speak about Nissim, when it comes to Pesach and all the other festivals. But the reality is that all that means, if we were to imagine a puppet, okay? Don't know if you can see my hand, okay? So if we imagine that I had something over this, I don't think I do. Okay, nothing to hand. No, nothing I can use for a puppet. Okay, here we go. Okay, here's my puppet, okay? Okay, so when I have this, right, you shouldn't, if I did it properly, you wouldn't be able to see my hand, okay? So a miracle is when this happens, okay? And you get a glimpse behind the curtain that is there in the world. In other words, miracles are when God reveals himself in a more open manner. Okay, God reveals himself in a more open manner. The reality is the whole of creation, the whole of our existence is miraculous. You only have to start looking at the complexity in a cell, right? In the way that human beings work, in the way that everything in creation exists and continues to exist, to make us recognize and realize that the whole of existence is miraculous. But what happened was, there are open miracles that at key points in history, God has, in a more open fashion, revealed himself through open miracles. And then there is what we refer to as hidden miracles. What is a hidden miracle? So a hidden miracle is where there is something which is still, God is still pulling the strings, right? God is still making things, everything happen, but the difference is it is concealed within nature. Okay, so if we think about the existence of the world, the fact that the sun is exactly the right distance, not too far, not too close to to the planet Earth, the fact that there are the complexities in the world that we live, that all spells and points to an intelligent design, a divine designer, but it is all hidden. It's not splitting of the sea. It's not hell with fire in it coming down as it was at the time of the 10 plagues. And now we're going to learn with that introduction as to what we refer to with miracles. We are going to refer to open miracles, right, or far more open miracles at the time of the temple. We referred before that the temple was a period where God's divine presence, in particular in the first temple, dwelled in our midst, and therefore people felt it was palpable. The divine presence was close. We felt it. And therefore, God, how did that occur? That occurred through the miracles that happened in the temple in particular. Let me give you some examples. There are 10 miracles that were performed from our ancestors in the Holy Temple. This is chapter 5, Mishnah 7. No woman miscarried because of the aroma of the sacrificial meat. Now, what that means is that usually, right, a woman who has a craving, okay, in Jewish law, that craving is taken very seriously, and it has to be fulfilled. But for a woman, for any person just to go and eat in the temple, you can't eat sacred foods, right? So therefore, it was made in the temple that there would not be a miscarriage, and therefore there was no need to allow her to eat of these sacrificial meats, which were prohibited. Next one, the sacrificial meat never became putrid. If you leave a piece of meat out in the sun, we all know, right, if it's not refrigerated, we know what's going to happen, right? So miraculously, that meat which was designated for sacrifices, it never went putrid, okay? Next, no fly was seen in the place where the meat was butchered. So, of course, they had to prepare the meat that was going to be offered as sacrifices, right? Now, I had a barbecue last night, and immediately there were flies, there were wasps, right? So much so, I don't know what was going on in Woodside Park last night. I had to run inside, and my family were laughing. But the idea is usually flies are attracted or drawn to meat, yet none of this happened. No seminal emission occurred to the high priest on Yom Kippur, right? That's something which, if you think about hundreds and hundreds of years, it could have happened, and yet it didn't. The rains did not extinguish the fire on the altar pyre. It rains. We all know when it rains, boy, does it rain in Israel, right? Doesn't rain as much as here, but the rain that they have is very, very heavy rain. And yet, miraculously, the fire which was for the altar, right, for where sacrifices would be brought, it never was extinguished by the rain. The wind did not disperse the vertical column of smoke from the altar. There was from the altar a vertical column of smoke. It didn't waver, right? Usually a wind would blow. Think about your barbecue or your fire, and you stand in one place and you think, okay, I'm okay here. And then all of a sudden the wind changes direction and then it blows in your face and you have, right, I always have smoke all over you. That didn't happen there, right? It was the place of the altar. The wind did not disperse the vertical column of smoke. No disqualification was found in the omer, right, the sacrifice, or in the two loaves, right? The omer and the 2 loaves are things that were brought to the temple, right, as part of the service, or in the showbread, right? Showbread, we know, right, were the 12 loaves of bread, one for each of the tribes. For each of your tribes, there was a loaf that was brought, and it miraculously kept fresh from one Friday to the next Friday, right? From one Shabbat to the next Shabbat. That's a miracle, right? The people stood crowded together, yet prostrated themselves in ample space. Okay, now we are all aware in the current climate of what it means to be close to one another and what it means not to be close to one another. So in the temple, right, there was a time before social distancing, and the whole of Israel came. Everyone came. It was good. Aliyah Regel. They came up for the 3 foot festivals. That was meant to happen, to bring their sacrifices, to celebrate the festival with the nation. And despite everyone crowding in, the space sufficed for everyone, for the whole nation. And that was a miracle. In other words, and the second miracle was that they prostrated themselves. Remember Yom Kippur? So in the Yom Kippur service, right? So typically, when it comes to Aleinu, we prostrate, some of us prostrate ourselves, right? So people in the temple area, if they prostrated themselves, you need more space to prostrate yourselves. And yet there was no space. The space expanded to enable them to all have ample space, despite the fact that physically it was an impossibility. Neither a serpent or a scorpion ever caused injury in Jerusalem, right? Nobody ever got harmed. Think about the hot climate. Think about the serpents and scorpions that would be there. Nobody suffered any harm in Jerusalem. Nor did any man say to his fellow, this space is insufficient for me to stay overnight in Jerusalem. They say another thing also, that nobody had to leave Jerusalem. If you're a resident of Jerusalem, you wouldn't have to go elsewhere to get your parnosa, your livelihood, right? Now, in days gone by, everyone was running here, there, and everywhere. In fact, Rav Lev Yitzchok once saw someone, the great Hasidic master, he once saw somebody running. He says, where are you running? To which the man said, I'm running for my parnosa. I'm running because I've got to go to work. He says, how do you know that your parnosa, your livelihood, is in that direction? Maybe it's behind you, right? So many of us, right, have spent many years, society has spent time running, right, traveling great distances. Now it seems that we're coming back to like temple times, right, where our livelihood, please God, will be in the place that we are. We're not going to have to start traveling to far-flung destinations. But that was another miracle that happened in Jerusalem. So 10 miracles, 10 things occurred in the temple. None of them were essential. We could have managed without them. So why did God perform these miracles? In order for him to display and to show us his presence, his kindness, his benevolence, his love for us. If I buy you, anyone, I don't know, whoever's on, Colin, Adam, Anthony, Richard, Adam, and anyone else that is there, if I buy you a loaf of bread, right, is that going to show my love for you? The answer is probably not. You know why? Because that is an essential ingredient, right? It's an essential ingredient, and therefore, since it is, I need it. A need is not providing anything extra. But if it is that you provide flowers, chocolates, right, anything for someone that you love or like, right, and it's not something that they asked you to get, then that is considered an expression of the relationship. So it was in the temple. All these 10 miracles that were performed, we didn't need them. We could have managed without them, but it was an expression of that special relationship, the special bond between us and God. We're going to have to stop there, okay? We're going to go on to a very, very weird and interesting Mishnah tomorrow about 10 things that were created before creation, okay? You'll be fascinated when you hear what they are. We'll carry on with Psalm 23. Where are we? I don't know. Where's Psalm 23? Okay. Okay, so the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even when I walk in the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. Memorial prayer. Adon Olamim Zacho Es Nishma Is Lebas Paivo Tzvi Bas Mordechai Avram Ben David Slavin Shlomo Ben Yisrael Morris Eliezer Ben Shmuel Teret Eliezer Shalom Ben Avram Shmuel Beres Tzvi Parafei Gela Bas Ruben Baruch Shalom Ben Eli Ben Bas Paivo Rabbi Shoshana Bas Yaakov Shmuel Erika Bas Avram Shalchun Linamam Began Eiden Tevunu Chasam Lachim Belarachamim Yasirim B'Seisa Kanav Yalamim V'Yitzrov B'Sachai B'Sishnosam Adonai Nachlasam V'Yadvuchim Shalom Mishkavam V'Namar Amen. Before Shalema prayer, before we finish, I should just mention, I like to name drop, that today we have the virtual Chief Rabbis conference for all the rabbis up and down the country. We're not traveling anywhere. It's all on Zoom, but we're going to be very honored to hear from, I think it's the Chief Medical Officer to the government. So he'll be able to deal with all our questions. Can you blow a shofar over Rosh Hashanah or not? We know currently, according to the guidelines, you can't. We'll see what that entails and whether that's going to change. And any other questions that you have, please send them to me. And I'm happy to see if I can get them in under the radar and ask him our questions about COVID and Judaism and Rosh Hashanah and everything else. In the meantime, let's carry on with the Refuah Shalema prayer. I've now heard there are 7 cases this week in London, northwest London, Jewish people, Jewish families with COVID. So not a laughing matter. We wish them, amongst everyone else, Refuah Shalema. Mi sheberach Avosenu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shlomo Uyivarach Rapesach Cholim Babu Shanu Mispalim Babu Ram Zbez Chazakadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachem Aleihem Lachman Pusam Yishlach Lem Fushlim and Shmam Lachol Ben Basach Shach Yisrael Refuah Nevesh Vazak Lovash Bagaz Makarivan Amar Amen. It's fantastic. We're 21 people learning with us every day. Guys, this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's get to 50. Let's get to 50. Learning ethics of the fathers. And if you want to go over this again, we'll go over it again, or you want to learn something else, we've only got one more chapter to go. Very exciting. I say, in no particular order, those that have said good morning to me, I say good morning to you. To David, to Paul, to Peter, to Michelle, to David, to Eitan, to Rachel, to Harry, to Caroline, to Estelle, to Richard, to Eitan, to Andrea, to Jackie, to Colin, to Anthony, to Michael, to Richard, to Adam. And that was all in one breath, like reading the Megillah. Have a great day, everyone. So special to have you and see you all. And please God, looking forward to seeing you either tonight or tomorrow morning. Have a great day. I'm off to meet the Chief Medical Officer on Zoom. Take care.